It started with a knock. Not the kind that echoes with urgency or alarm, no. This one was casual. 3 soft raps, barely enough to register over the low hum of the television. I remember the exact episode playing. Some forgettable sitcom rerun with laugh tracks that now feel like a cruel soundtrack to my last day of peace. Laura glanced up from her phone, eyebrows raised, then gave me that little smile, the one that used to mean everything, before I realized how fake it could be, and said, "Can you get that? I'm in the middle of something." I didn't know then, but that something was a string of text messages from a guy named Ben, the delivery boy. I opened the door, and there he was. Maybe 19, maybe 20. Scrawny, acne just barely fading, wearing the red uniform polo of our local sandwich shop. He was holding a brown paper bag and a receipt, shifting his weight from one foot to the other like he had somewhere better to be. "Delivery for Laura," he said, voice cracking ever so slightly. I took the bag, handed him a tip, and didn't think twice. But then he lingered. Just a second too long. He didn't look at me. Not really. His eyes slid past mine, right over my shoulder, toward the hallway behind me. And for the briefest moment, something flickered across his face. Recognition. Anticipation. Something he wasn't supposed to show. I closed the door. Laura was already halfway down the hallway when I turned around. "Ooh, he's early," she said, grabbing the bag from my hands a little too quickly. "I'm starving." I laughed, shook my head, sat back down. And I told myself I was imagining things. But I wasn't. Later that night, I found a receipt crumpled near the trash can. One of those automated ones with timestamps. And that's when I noticed it. This wasn't just a delivery. It was marked as a repeat order. Weekly. Same items. Same time. Same name. I turned it over in my hand like it might reveal more. It didn't. But the pattern gnawed at me. The next Tuesday, I stayed home from work, claimed I was sick. Laura didn't question it. She was too busy curling her hair, applying eyeliner, too much for a lazy weekday afternoon. I asked her where she was going and she said, "Just running errands. Probably stopped by Target." But she didn't leave with a purse. She left with nothing but her phone. She didn't know I was watching from the upstairs window as she walked around the side of the house, not toward her car, but to the backyard gate. 20 minutes later, he showed up. Ben. Red polo, brown bag in hand. Same awkward posture. Only this time, he didn't knock. He went around back. I didn't confront her that day. Or the next. I let it fester. I needed to know more. Needed to be sure. Because the worst part of betrayal isn't the act itself. It's that moment of doubt. When your instincts scream the truth but you don't yet have proof. That moment you start questioning your own sanity. So I waited. I watched. I gathered the puzzle pieces, one humiliating shard at a time. The text messages came first. I installed a keylogger on her laptop. Low-tech, but effective. Every time she typed, I got a report. And what I saw confirmed everything I feared and more than I was ready to handle. Messages filled with emojis, inside jokes, crude innuendo. My wife. A woman I'd shared a bed and a child with, flirting like a teenager with a boy young enough to be her student. Then came the photos. She must have been feeling bold. Or maybe stupid. She sent him selfies, nothing explicit, just enough to cross the line and make me feel like I'd been gutted. She was smiling in them. That smile again. But it wasn't mine anymore. I remember the night I finally let myself feel the full weight of it. I was sitting in the garage, lights off, staring at the wall with a beer that had gone warm in my hand. I wasn't crying. I thought I might. But I wasn't. I was planning. See, I could have blown up right then. Thrown her stuff on the lawn. Screamed. Raged. But where would that get me? Angry and empty. No, I wanted something better. Something colder. I wanted her to feel it. I wanted him to feel it too. So I bided my time. And the next Tuesday, when she said she had to go run errands, I smiled and kissed her goodbye. Because the delivery was coming. And this time, I'd be waiting. She left at 3:17 p.m., just like always. Same fake excuse, same calculated softness in her voice. I stood at the kitchen window, watching her retreat down the sidewalk, phone already in her hand, her other arm swaying like she had no idea someone was watching. I waited until she rounded the corner, then grabbed the bag I'd packed earlier, tools, zip ties, a burner phone, a pocket-sized audio recorder. It wasn't about violence. It was about precision. I wasn't some madman with a broken heart. I was a man with facts and a plan. I waited in the garage with the lights off, door cracked just enough for a sliver of daylight. The minutes ticked by. At exactly 3:44, he showed up. Ben. He parked 2 houses down, trying to look casual, but I saw the nervous glance he gave our driveway, the way he adjusted his collar in the side mirror. He wasn't here for a sandwich delivery. He was here to play house with my wife. I could feel the heat rising in my chest, but I stayed still, watched, waited. He grabbed the paper bag from the passenger seat, checked his phone, then started toward the back gate like he'd done this a dozen times. Because he had. I slipped out the side door and followed. Silent, calculated steps across the side lawn. I stayed low behind the hedge. He didn't even knock. Just opened the gate and walked in like he belonged. The audacity. That was what cut deepest. Not just the betrayal, but how casual it had all become. They didn't even hide it anymore. That was their mistake. I crept along the back fence, keeping low until I reached the patio window. Curtains drawn, but not completely. A narrow slit gave me just enough view. There they were, Laura in one of her fitted workout sets, pretending she'd just been home this whole time, smiling like a schoolgirl. He handed her the bag. She set it on the table without even looking inside. Then she kissed him. My hand curled around the recorder in my jacket pocket, thumb sliding over the switch. I pressed it. Click. I let it run. Their voices came through the walls muffled but clear enough. I've listened to that recording a dozen times since. The flirty laughs. The "did your husband suspect anything?" followed by her casual, dismissive "he's clueless." They giggled like kids stealing candy, but it wasn't candy. It was trust. It was years. It was the life I built while she chipped away at it behind my back. I slid back the way I came, heart pounding, not from fear, but from focus. I had what I needed. The recording. The timestamp. The camera feed from the porch cam I installed 2 nights ago while she was asleep. I wasn't going to confront her, not yet. I was going to make her unravel. That night, I cooked dinner. Stir-fry, the way she liked it. Jason asked where Mom had been, and I told him she'd been shopping. He nodded but didn't say anything. He was quiet lately. Too quiet for an 11-year-old. I wondered how much he already knew. Laura smiled through dinner like everything was fine. She touched my hand when she thanked me. Said she appreciated me. It almost worked. Almost. But her phone buzzed while she was rinsing her plate. I caught the name as it lit up. Ben. No last name. No emoji. Just a message. Same time Friday? I took a screenshot while she was in the bathroom. By midnight, I'd set up a new folder on my laptop, labeled plainly, insurance, audio files, screenshots, camera stills, metadata, a backup copy in the cloud, password protected. I wasn't just collecting proof. I was building a case, a silent one-man jury. Friday came, and so did he. Same time, same route, same bag of lies. I stayed hidden again, recorder on, camera rolling, but this time I left them a little gift. A single-used coffee cup in the trash with Ben's name scribbled on the side, taken from the shop near his apartment. Laura didn't notice, but I watched him freeze when he saw it, watched his eyes dart around like prey. I wanted him to feel watched, hunted, because he was. That weekend, Laura started getting jumpy, checking her phone too often, disappearing into the bathroom to take calls. I let her squirm. I didn't ask questions. I wanted her to feel safe. Because the fall always hits harder when you think the ground beneath you is solid. The plan was simple. Expose them, destroy the fantasy, and leave them with nothing. But I wasn't going to do it loud. No screaming matches. No broken plates. Just one well-timed email blast, audio, photos, everything sent to her parents, her boss, Ben's manager at the sandwich shop, and a carefully selected handful of mutual friends. I even drafted the subject line, something you deserve to know. But I waited, because patience is a weapon. And the more she thought she was getting away with it, the deeper the cut would be when the truth dropped like a hammer. She still kissed me goodnight, still wore the necklace I bought her last Christmas. And I let her, because Friday was coming. And so was the end of everything she thought she could hide. Friday came dressed like any other day. The sun rose, emails piled up, Jason dragged himself through his cereal like it was punishment. Laura left around noon, said she had a spa appointment this time, complete with an eye roll like I was supposed to be annoyed she was taking care of herself. I told her to enjoy it. She kissed my cheek on the way out. I made sure she saw me smile. She left wearing lipstick, a low-cut blouse, and perfume that was always reserved for special occasions. That part made me laugh. She thought this affair was special. I waited 20 minutes, then walked into the office and opened the email draft I'd prepared. Everything was already attached. The surveillance footage from the porch cam showing Ben slipping in through the gate, The audio files labeled by date and timestamp, a screenshot of her messages, and a photo I snapped of them through the window, his hand on her waist. Her laughing like she'd never heard a joke in her life. I didn't hit send yet. Not yet. I logged into her laptop while she was gone. Same password she's had since college. I went through her email, her calendar, her private notes app. I wasn't looking for more proof. I had enough. I was looking for rot. And I found it. Hidden deep in a folder labeled Wellness were drafts of messages to Ben. Love notes. Fantasies about leaving me. Timelines for when Jason would be old enough to understand. That last part nearly made me put my fist through the desk. She was planning to walk away with him. To take our son into a new life where I'd be nothing but the bitter footnote. And still, I didn't send the email. Because this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about control. Timing. A few hours later, I heard the gate creak. I watched from the upstairs vent. Ben leaving again, shirt wrinkled, hair messed up, carrying the same bag he arrived with. She stood in the kitchen an hour later, making herself a smoothie like nothing happened. I stepped in, asked her how the spa was. Relaxing, she said. Needed it. I smiled, nodded, told her she deserved it. She didn't catch the venom under my breath. That night I couldn't sleep. My hand hovered over the mouse, the send button glowing like a trapdoor I was one click away from falling through. And then it hit me, this wasn't punishment enough. If I sent everything now, it'd be over too quickly. She'd cry, she'd beg, she'd spin her version. She might even survive it. I didn't want her to survive this. I wanted her to be haunted by it. So I did something worse. I let her keep going. Over the next 2 weeks, I added more cameras. One hidden in the backyard light fixture. Another behind a smoke detector in the hallway. And the most damning of all, one inside the stuffed rabbit on our bedroom dresser. The one Jason stopped playing with years ago. I caught them there too. Not just the physical part. The emotional rot. Her whispering about how tired she was of pretending. How cold I'd gotten. He told her she deserved better. She said she felt alive again. The kind of lines you use when you're too cowardly to leave but too selfish to stay. I edited everything down into a tight, devastating 10-minute video. No filler. Just the worst of them, laid bare. It was art, in a way. Painful, precise art. Then came the final piece. Her birthday. She planned a dinner with friends from yoga. She told me not to bother getting anything. I acted hurt. She kissed my cheek and told me I was sweet for even offering. That night, while she was out, I loaded the video onto a thumb drive and drove to Ben's apartment. I didn't knock. I didn't need to. I slid the drive into his mailbox with a note. Thought you deserved to know how much she lies. Watch it all. I never saw his face when he watched it, but I can imagine it. Her laughing with me in bed 2 days before. Her texting another guy at 3 a.m. Her telling someone else the exact same lies. She thought she could juggle both worlds. She never realized I'd built the third one. The one she couldn't see. The one watching from the shadows. The next morning, she was off. Pale, jumpy. She asked if I knew where Jason's soccer bag was. I told her I'd seen it in the closet. She nodded, distracted, like her mind was racing. I went into my office and saw the first email from her. Subject line, "Can we talk?" I didn't reply. That afternoon, she came home early. Said she wasn't feeling well. Tried to sit next to me on the couch, but I stood. Told her I had work to do. "Are you okay?" she asked, voice small. "Never better," I said. And I meant it. Because I hadn't sent the bomb yet. I was just letting the fuse burn a little slower. She didn't know who else had gotten copies. She didn't know what was coming next. She was living in the space between exposure and fallout, and that space is hell. That's the part no one tells you. The waiting. The dread. It eats people alive. I went to bed that night while she lay on the couch. Her phone buzzed once. She didn't answer. The next morning began with silence. A thick, sticky kind. The kind that coats everything before a storm. I walked into the kitchen and found her sitting at the table, hands wrapped tight around a cup of coffee she wasn't drinking. Her eyes were bloodshot. No makeup. No smile. The mascara stains on the sleeves of her sweatshirt told me she hadn't slept. I didn't say a word. Just grabbed the orange juice from the fridge and poured myself a glass. She watched me like she wanted to ask something, like she was too afraid of the answer. I sat down across from her and sipped, slow and calm. She broke first. "Ben hasn't called me back." I raised an eyebrow, feigning surprise. "Maybe he's busy." "He's never too busy." Her voice cracked. "Something's wrong." I shrugged. "Maybe he found out something you didn't want him to know." Her face changed. Her lips parted. breath caught in her throat. She blinked like I'd just spoken a different language. What do you mean? I stared at her, long and hard. Let it sink in. Then I stood up and walked out of the kitchen. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The second wave hit that afternoon. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from friends, co-workers, even her sister. I know because I set up forwarding to my private email weeks ago. I saw every text, every call, every shift in tone as the story spread. The betrayal wasn't just mine anymore. It was public. She tried to play dumb at first. Tried calling Ben, voicemail. Tried texting him, no reply. Then she got desperate. She called Megan, her Pilates partner, and asked if she'd heard anything. Megan told her that someone had sent her a video. Said it was disturbing. Said she didn't know what to believe. I was upstairs when Laura screamed. Not words. Just noise. Raw, animal noise. I didn't rush down. I didn't ask if she was okay. I let her drown. She didn't come to dinner. Jason and I ate in silence. He watched me more than usual, like he knew something had shifted in the house. After he went to bed, I walked into the bedroom and found Laura sitting on the edge of the mattress, phone in her lap, hands shaking. "Did you do this?" she asked, not looking at me. I leaned against the doorframe. "Do what?" "You know what." Her voice was hollow. "The video. The emails. All of it." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, I did." She finally looked up, and I swear, for a second, I didn't recognize her. The mask was gone. The control, the confidence, stripped away. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you lied," I said. "Because you stole time. Trust. Our son's sense of safety. And you thought you could get away with it." "It wasn't serious," she muttered. "It was just, I don't know. I felt alone." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was pathetic. "You felt alone, so you invited a child into our bed?" She flinched at that. "He's not a child. He's not a man either. But you knew that. You picked him because he was easy. Because he worshipped you. Because he didn't challenge you. He let you be someone you couldn't be with me. You're cruel," she spat. "No," I said, stepping forward, voice flat. "I'm just not blind anymore." She stood then, sudden and shaking. "What do you want from me? Do you want me to leave? Is that it? Should I pack a bag?" I paused. "Not yet." Her eyes widened. "Then what?" "I want you to sit in this mess for a while. I want you to feel what it's like to have your name whispered behind closed doors. I want you to watch the people you fooled look at you differently. I want you to see what it feels like to rot from the inside out. You're enjoying this." "No," I said quietly. "I'm surviving it." She sank back onto the bed, hands covering her face. I left the room. The next few days were a blur of collapse. Her job called. She'd been placed on administrative leave. Someone forwarded the video to HR. Ben quit his job. His parents, religious, conservative, judgmental, found out everything. He went silent, erased his socials. Laura paced the house like a ghost, jittery and hollow. I caught her once standing in Jason's room while he slept, hand trembling over his blanket, whispering something I couldn't hear. I didn't interrupt. I just watched. Because that wasn't a mother. That was a woman trying to remember how to be one. Then came the envelope. Thick, unmarked. Left on the porch 2 weeks after the fallout began. Inside was a letter. From Ben. Not to me. To Laura. He didn't apologize. He begged. Said he'd lost everything. Said he'd thought she loved him. Said he might not survive this. I handed her the envelope without a word. Watched her read it. Watched her fall apart all over again. But this time, I didn't turn away. This time, I let her collapse. Because the thing about betrayal is it doesn't stop when you get caught. It festers. It lingers. It poisons everything you thought was real. She asked to talk that night. Said she wanted to explain. I told her to save it. Because explanations are only useful before the blade is in your back. After that, it's just noise. It was 2 months to the day after the first time I saw them kiss that I gave her the papers. I didn't wake her up with them or announce anything dramatic. I just left them on the kitchen table next to her vitamins and a cold cup of coffee she'd poured and forgotten, like she forgot everything lately. She found them around 8:30. I was in the garage replacing a cracked light on the back porch when I heard the shuffle of paper, then nothing. No gasp. No scream. Just silence. Then footsteps. Bare, slow, cautious. I didn't move when she came to the door. She stood there in her robe, her hair unbrushed, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "What is this?" she asked, voice already unraveling. "Exactly what it looks like," I said. "It's not final. Not yet. But it will be." Her eyes darted across my face like she was searching for something that might still be there. It wasn't. So that's it. You're just done. You ended it. I'm just formalizing the paperwork. It was a mistake. It was a pattern. She didn't argue that. Couldn't. She folded her arms, but I could see the tremble in her hands. And Jason, he stays with me. You can see him. But this house? This life? I gestured around us. It's mine now. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She didn't have a fight in her. Not anymore. That's the thing about people like Laura. They're queens in the fantasy, but peasants in the reckoning. When things turn real, when actions have consequences, they shrink. She started crying, finally. The kind of quiet, stifled sob she used to fake for sympathy. But this time, there was no performance. No one to impress. No audience to manipulate. I walked past her, into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water. You'll be taken care of. I'm not cruel, I said, not looking at her. But don't think for a second I'm going to save you from yourself again. She said my name. Soft. Broken. I didn't respond. A week later, she moved out. Packed 2 suitcases and left the rest. Her mother came to help. Didn't look me in the eye once. Jason didn't say much either. Just hugged her, nodded when she promised to call, then turned and walked back inside. I watched her car drive away without feeling anything. Not loss. Not relief. Just quiet. Like something rotten had finally been excised from the walls. That night, I opened a bottle of bourbon I'd been saving since our 5th anniversary. Poured 1 glass, sat on the back porch, and watched the wind tear dead leaves off the tree by the fence. Jason came out after a while. Sat beside me without a word. We just watched the night settle in around us. Are you okay? He asked. I nodded. You? I think so, he said. She said she'd come back. She said she'd fix it. I sipped my drink, let the silence sit between us a while before I answered. Some things break in ways that can't be fixed, but, do you hate her? I turned and looked him in the eyes. No, but I don't trust her. And trust is everything. He nodded like he understood. And maybe he did. More than any kid should. 2 weeks passed. Then a letter came in the mail. No return address. Just my name, scrawled in handwriting I hadn't seen before. Inside was a single photo. Ben, or what was left of him. Face bruised. Eyes empty. Holding a note that said, I'm sorry. No explanation. No threat. No plea. Just that. I showed it to no one. I burned it in the sink and watched the flames curl the edges into black. He'd been the puppet. The willing fool. But Laura had pulled the strings. Now both of them were just stories people whispered about behind closed doors. Laura called once. Blocked number. Left a voicemail. Said she wanted to meet. Talk things through. I deleted it. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. There's a difference. I didn't need closure. I didn't want answers. I had peace. Jason and I built a new rhythm. Quiet dinners. Weekend hikes. Laughter returning in strange, sudden waves. The house stopped feeling like a crime scene. It felt like a home again. And me? I stopped waiting for apologies. I stopped needing justice. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's detachment. It's showing them they don't matter anymore. And Laura? She mattered once. But not anymore. It came in the form of a letter. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten envelope in the mailbox, no stamp, just folded paper sealed with tape and the faint scent of the same perfume she used to wear on date nights, jasmine and cheap vanilla, like memory laced with gasoline. I knew her handwriting instantly. Still curvy and deliberate, like every loop was an apology trying to look elegant. I stood at the kitchen counter staring at it for a long time. Jason was at a friend's house. The silence wrapped around me tight, like it didn't want to let go. Eventually, I opened it. Not because I cared what she had to say, but because people like Laura never do anything without an angle. And this smelled like one. Inside, 3 pages. Cream paper. Ink slightly smudged like she'd cried while writing it, or wanted me to think she had. Alex, if you're reading this, then I guess I've run out of ways to reach you. I understand. I deserve your silence. I need to explain something you don't know. Something I should have told you the night it all came crashing down, but I was too afraid. I almost stopped reading there. Afraid? She had been fearless in betrayal. But I kept going. I didn't fall in love with Ben. That was never real. It wasn't about him. It was about me. About the parts of me that started unraveling after Jason was born. I never told you what the doctor said. About the depression. About how I lied on the forms because I was scared you'd think I was broken. I think part of me wanted to ruin everything, so I didn't have to admit I felt like I was drowning even when I was smiling. I wasn't happy, Alex. But it wasn't your fault. That part made me pause. Because it was the first time she'd admitted anything without shifting blame. I know you think I chose him, but I didn't. I chose oblivion. I chose a fantasy where I wasn't a mother or a wife or anyone accountable to anyone else. I chose it again and again until I was too far gone to pull myself back. And you? You were always steady, kind, patient. That made it worse. Because every time I looked at you, I saw everything I was failing to be. That was the twist. That's what I didn't see coming. Not an excuse, not a plea for forgiveness, just honesty. And it pissed me off more than if she denied it all. The video you sent, what you did, I deserved it. I watched it. All of it. And for the first time, I saw myself the way you must have seen me. Manipulative. Selfish. Cruel. You were right to destroy me. And maybe I needed to be destroyed to understand what I'd become. I'm getting help now. Real help. A counselor. A support group. I'm not asking you to believe me. I just wanted you to know I'm not pretending anymore. There's one more thing. I could feel it then, the shift in tone. The real reason she wrote. Jason's been writing me letters. Hiding them in the mailbox down the street, the one near the park. I never asked him to. He found me on his own. I haven't written back. I swear. I didn't know if I should tell you. But I figured, if there's any trust left between us at all, you'd want to hear it from me. I put the letter down. My hands were shaking, not with rage, but something colder. Fear. Jason. My son. Writing to her in secret. Of course he was. Kids crave connection, even with the ones who hurt them. Maybe especially with those. And she hadn't replied. At least, that's what she said. But Laura lied like breathing. I pulled on my coat and walked to the mailbox near the park. I'd never paid much attention to it. Bent slightly, paint chipped, forgotten by the city. Inside, 2 envelopes. Both addressed in Jason's handwriting. I didn't open them. Not right away. I just stood there under the gray sky, wind cutting sharp through my sleeves, wondering how long he'd been slipping out to do this. And what words he'd chosen. That night, I sat him down. Calm. Steady. No judgment. Just a quiet space for truth. Have you been writing to your mom? He froze. Then nodded. I didn't tell her where we live. I don't know. I wanted her to know I was okay. And what did you tell her? That I missed her. That I didn't understand why she left. That I still think about the way she used to sing in the car. I closed my eyes. It wasn't betrayal. It was longing. It was the ache that comes when a child doesn't know where to put his love. She hasn't written back, he said quickly. I don't think she will. I didn't say anything right away. I just pulled him into a hug, held him tight. Because some wounds don't bleed. They echo. Later that night, I burned her letter in the sink, just like I had with the photo from Ben. She came back on a Wednesday. No warning. No message ahead of time. Just a knock on the door while I was making dinner. Jason at the table working on math homework. The sound of pasta boiling behind me. I knew it was her before I even opened it. There's a kind of silence that follows certain people, like the air itself holds its breath around them. I opened the door, and there she was, coat clutched tight around her, hair windblown, eyes red-rimmed and glassy. Can we talk? She asked. Just like that. Like the world hadn't burned down months ago. Like she hadn't scorched every bridge between us. I didn't answer. Just stared at her until she dropped her eyes, took a small step back, and said, please. I stepped out and pulled the door closed behind me. Jason didn't need to see this. 5 minutes, I said. No more. She nodded. We walked to the edge of the porch. She stood with her hands shoved in her pockets like she was trying to make herself smaller. I wasn't going to come, she started, voice low, but I heard about your dad. My jaw tightened. He'd passed the week before. Quietly, in his sleep. A soft ending for a hard man. I'm sorry, she said. Truly. I didn't need her sympathy. I needed distance. Why are you really here, Laura? She hesitated. I want to say goodbye. Properly. Not just to him. To you. To this. She gestured at the house like it was a memory she was trying to lay to rest. And I want to ask for something. There it was. The ask. It always comes. I want to see him. Jason. Just once. Not to fix anything. Not to explain. Just to tell him goodbye. I shook my head. You don't get that. Not after what you did. He wrote to me, she whispered. I know, I said. He told me. Her face broke then. Not just cracked broke. Like the weight of knowing he still loved her was harder than when he hated her. I didn't answer because I didn't know what to say. I wanted to. Every time I tried, it sounded like a lie. That's because it was. I'm not who I was, she said. Eyes wet now. I've been in therapy. I've been rebuilding. I've been sober. That last part hit strange. Sober. I was drinking more than you knew. Hiding bottles. Before the affair. During. It wasn't just been. It was everything. I was spiraling. I looked at her then. Not with anger. Not even pity. Just the kind of detachment you feel when someone shows up in a dream you already woke up from. I'm not here for forgiveness, she said. I don't expect that. But if you could, just tell him I'm okay. That I'm getting better. I nodded once. Not for her. For Jason. You should go, I said. Before he sees you. She didn't argue. Just turned and walked down the steps, slow, like every part of her wanted to stay. She paused by her car, hand on the door. You were a good man, she said over her shoulder. I didn't see it then. That's my loss. Then she left. No fanfare. No breakdown. Just gone. I stood there for a long time, watching the road. Not waiting for her to come back, just making sure she didn't. When I went inside, Jason looked up. Who was that? I took a breath. Just someone saying goodbye. He nodded slowly, eyes searching mine. Was it her? Yeah, I said. It was. He didn't ask more. Just went back to his homework. And I stirred the pasta and realized something I hadn't been able to say out loud until then. It was over. For real this time. No more secrets. No more shadows. Just the sound of boiling water and a boy with his pencil and a man finally stepping out from the wreckage. I didn't expect peace to feel so empty. The days after Laura's final visit were quiet, too quiet, like the storm had passed but left the air hollow in its wake. Jason and I fell into a rhythm again. Breakfast, school, dinners, the occasional movie night. But something lingered beneath it all, some residue of everything that had burned through our lives. Grief is a funny thing. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It creeps in while you're folding laundry or brushing your teeth or reaching for a can in the pantry. One moment, you're fine. The next, you're standing there frozen, blinking at a memory that punches you square in the chest. I had those moments more than I admitted. The scent of jasmine on a stranger at the grocery store. A sandwich shop bag sitting on someone's passenger seat. Even the sound of laughter, carefree, feminine, echoing down a sidewalk, would twist something inside me before I remembered she was gone. And yet, I didn't miss her. Not really. What I missed was the version of her that never existed. The story I told myself about our marriage. The illusion I clung to like a lifeline, long after the rope had frayed. I missed the lie, not the liar. One night, Jason asked if he could read me one of the letters he wrote to her. The one she never answered. He pulled it from his drawer, unfolded it slowly, and started to read. It was short. Just a few lines. Hi, Mom. I don't know why you left. I don't know if you still think about us. But I still think about you. I still remember the way you smelled like vanilla and mint. I hope you're okay. I hope you miss me too. Love, Jason. I couldn't speak. I just reached over and wrapped him in a hug so tight I thought I might crush him. And he didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. After he went to bed, I sat out on the back porch and looked up at the sky. It was cloudless that night. Quiet. I used to think justice was loud, that it came with sirens or slammed doors or final showdowns. But now I know it's quieter than that. Sometimes, it's just a man alone with a clear conscience. I took out my phone, scrolled through the photos I hadn't deleted yet. There were still some of her there. From before. Smiling at the beach. Holding Jason in her lap on his 5th birthday. Wearing that blue sweater I liked before it all curdled. I selected them one by one. And deleted them. Not out of hate. Not out of rage. Just readiness. I backed up the photos of Jason. Our trips. His awards. His smile. I saved what mattered. Burned what didn't. Then I opened a blank note on my phone and wrote one line. I survived her. That was it. That was the truth. The next morning, I told Jason we should take a trip. Just the two of us. He asked where. I said anywhere. Somewhere with water, maybe. Mountains. Space. He smiled. Said he wanted to try fishing. I laughed. Neither of us knew a damn thing about fishing. But we'd learn. Together. Because that's what healing looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's slow. Steady. 1,000 small choices to get up, to move forward, to build something from the ashes. I looked at my son and saw something I hadn't let myself feel in months. Hope. Not the naive kind. The hard kind. The kind forged in fire. I went upstairs, packed a bag. Threw in a couple of flannels, a few books, snacks for the road. And when I zipped it shut, it didn't feel like running. It felt like breathing again. The truth is, revenge didn't fix anything, but it cleared the way for something better.